Well, we're going to do the recap of the Tahoe trip, which was fantastic. But before we, which was and some great new content. Before we go into that, we're gonna listen to what's happening this week as far as the market update is concerned. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get fired off here as we let people in. And here we go.
Recording in progress.
Available inventory of homes for sale in the U.S. rose quickly again this week, even during the holiday week. Maybe that's partially due to the holiday falling on Monday rather than Thursday, Friday, but I suspect it has more to do with sellers watching housing markets change quickly and rushing ahead to be ahead of that curve. So inventory continues to grow pretty substantially each week. It's tricky to communicate about this market right now. The headline of the last couple months, of course, has been this abrupt change from record low inventory to a rapidly normalizing market. I have people reaching out to me telling me I'm being too alarmist. Much of this change is normal. We still have far fewer homes on the market almost everywhere in the country. These tight inventory conditions still indicate a market where sellers generally have pricing power. On the other hand, the shift is real, it is pronounced, and sellers have significantly less power than they did even like 6 weeks ago. We have a rapidly changing market. It's not catastrophically bad, but it is very, very different than it has been recently. And that's the needle we're trying to thread with this communication each week. There's no evidence that we'll have excess inventory on the market anytime soon. There's no evidence of forced selling, but there is a new rush, and you can see sellers trying to get out before the market cools faster. So let's look at the data. Each week, Altos Research tracks every home for sale in the country. We analyze all the pricing, the supply and demand, all the changes in that data, and we make it available to you before you see it in the traditional channels. If you aren't using Altos reports with your clients, your buyers and sellers, now might be the time to step up. Go to altosresearch.com and book a free consult with our team, because everyone is worried about what's happening right now. They need you to help them see clearly. I'm Mike Simonson. I'm the CEO of Altos Research, and here's what we're looking at for the data for the week of July 11, 2022. The median price of homes on the market ticked down 1% this week to $450,000. Prices have likely peaked for the year, and it might be 2 years before we see this record high price again. We don't expect measurable home price gains for the US for next year. One way to think about home price appreciation for next year is to use the year-over-year inventory changes right now, since we have 31% more homes on the market now than we did last year at this time when we were at record lows. You can see how that supply and demand ratio is unlikely to support big home price gains from here. So expect 2023 to have no price appreciation. The median price of the new listings dropped pretty sharply this week to $405,000. Now, that's partially a function of the holiday, but it is also something worth watching. Last year was a similar size drop in the price of the new listings from $369,000 to $350,000 this week. That's the light colored line here. We will watch this light colored line in the next week also, because if we were to have another big adjustment down, like that would be a real signal for where these new listings, sellers coming to market now, are adjusting for a new normal of lighter demand. So keep your eyes on the light colored line here for next week as well. Inventory, meanwhile, gained 3.25% this holiday week. So we now have 491,000 single family homes on the market unsold. Available inventory is, like I said, 31% higher than last year at this time, when we only had 373,000 homes on the market. Active inventory is still only half of what it was in even 2019. So that's why it's hard to forecast like catastrophe for US home prices. There are always people who need to buy homes, and there's still simply not that much for sale. On the other hand, inventory is usually flat or even down, fewer over the July 4th holiday week. And this week also typically marks the inflection point in the season. Inventory growth typically slows dramatically from here, most years. Using the model based on recent years, we should expect one more pretty big week of inventory gains next week when we report on Monday. Then a gradual flattening of the curve as we get into late summer. You can see, though, the steep upslope here of the inventory curve at the far right end of the chart. It's not turned the corner yet. So the number of homes available on the market for buyers is increasing pretty markedly each week. And we have at least one more week of that. Then 2-3 weeks from now will be a good time to revisit the inventory projections for the rest of the year to see if the curve is flattened or if we have like some new dynamics to include in the model. So here's one way of seeing how the changing market conditions are pulling new supply onto the market. You can see how anyone who was considering selling maybe sometime later this year is hurrying now to get listed sooner. So this is our new listings per week. These are the homes that get listed for sale each week and weren't immediate sales. That is, they stayed on the market for at least a few days. So 90,000 new listings this week, single family homes. That's higher. You can see the dark red line is higher than recent years. And it's especially notable because the July 4th holiday week, you can see the dark red line has started the year very low. And then with few new listings and lots of those immediate sales that we talk about. But in recent weeks, the new listings are coming on the market faster than in any recent year. And see how all the previous years have that July 4th dip? That seems notable. So I've had actually people pointing out that last week there are local anecdotes that kind of corroborate this holiday listing volume in a few places around the country. So we can see that that new supply come into the market. Again, threading the needle between the cooling data and the fact that this is actually quite normal market conditions, you can see that while inventory is ticking up, there's no flood of new listings. It's like it feels like a lot because we've had so few recently, but it's not crazy. By the way, we'll spend some time with this data in the webinar, the Altos webinar this week. Lots of the rest of the leading indicators as well. So that's Thursday, July 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific. If you're in that challenging place of needing to communicate this very difficult message with buyers and sellers, we'll spend a lot of time on what is changing and what is not changing, what's just fine. So there's a link to register for the webinar in the description below. These are limited to 1,000 attendees, and we've been having way more than that register each month. So click the link now to reserve your spot in the webinar. As the market changes, it becomes time to focus on a really cool demand indicator. This is the percent of the active market that has been relisted. These were on the market. Maybe they went into contract, then the contract fails, there were no backup offers, then the house gets relisted back on the market. Or sometimes there were no offers at all and it gets pulled, withdrawn, and then relisted again later. At 1.7%, you can see the dark red line here for this year. Relists are at their highest level of recent years, and they're ticking up each week. So if you go into a contract for a few weeks and the deal falls through and you have no backup offers, then the house gets relisted. So that's what we're measuring here. And you can see that with 1.7% of the active market relisted, see that the dark red line is now consistently higher than previous years, and it ticked up this week. That's what we're watching. I should note that this is a pretty subtle change. So when we first started Altos research in 2006, we could see demand for single family homes in Silicon Valley, for example, start to change dramatically, to a point where it was about 30% of the listings had been relisted. At the time, it was like a marketing tactic. If a house sat on the market for 30 days, people started to wonder what was wrong with it. So agents would pull the property from the market and then relist it to get like all the new listings marketing push. What this teaches us here is that rapidly rising relists is indeed a bearish signal. The number right now is ticking up, but it isn't like panicky. It's a notable little rise, and we're going to keep watching it each week. We still see high demand in some parts of the country. For example, where these immediate sales are still happening. These markets are the opposite of the ones that have been the most hot over the past few years. So most notably this week in the immediate sales chart is that we did not have a holiday dip in those new listings. I already showed you that in the new listings chart, but the dark line part of each bar here is that the week's new listings that didn't sell immediately. And at the far right end of the chart, you can see that there's no holiday dip. As I pointed out before, we can see this new supply is probably being pulled forward by sellers who don't want to wait. Last year's holiday week had a big drop in this listing volume. Watch this next week to see if we start to turn the corner on inventory growth. And I do expect one more week of pretty big inventory growth next week in next Monday's report, and gradually declining those immediate sales, fewer and fewer each week. We will discuss the latest inventory forecast and all the leading indicators that we can tell on the supply side in the webinar this Thursday. Like I said, if you need to communicate with your buyers and sellers about what's happening, you should join us for that webinar. It's such a tricky time to communicate. We can see these opportunities for buyers finally opening. We can see that demand is still pretty good for the homes that are priced properly. If you need to have these conversations with your clients, go to altosresearch.com, sign up now so that you can have the data in the hands of your potential buyers and sellers today. The market is moving so quickly that you need to be the voice of expertise for them right now. That's all the data we have time for today. More next week. See you on the webinar. You have to register for that, and it fills up at 1,000 attendees. So click the link below to reserve your spot. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what I want to share with you before we recap the data is the upcoming events here. Really would love to see you guys locally at this $100 million sales team event, which is going to be at Granite Bay Golf Course next week, July 20th. Or excuse me, it's the 21st, next Thursday. For some reason, it's not loading here right now.
So that's a luxury.
Yeah, it's the sorry, it's the luxury event at Granite Bay Golf Club. I'm not sure why it's not popping here. I'm sorry, but I sent that out yesterday via email to the tribe. And if you need that data, let me know. Otherwise, you can go to this upcoming event, and I think it'll probably be here under local events. Yes, here it is. Become a luxury specialist. It's next week, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'd also like to implore you guys, and the next one's going to be in August, and it's titled "Get Results." It'll be at PCAR. Put these on your calendar. You know, your business growth is predicated on your personal growth. And then also just to go back and talk about a little bit about the build event, which will be in August. And, you know, you can go on to the buildevent22.com. This is, you know, coming up quick. It's next month, but I implore you to go to these things, network with people. Tony Robbins will be there. You'll never be able to probably see Tony Robbins this cheap at a normal event with massive value. And I know Rich and I were speaking about it a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Man, that was really great to go and listen to Tony Robbins, hear what he has to say." You know, we've got the agenda there, we've got the booking and the hotel information all there. So there's going to be a large contingency of us that are going to be going. For those of you who are looking for organizational growth, it's the perfect opportunity for you to you know, to invite people to this event. And when you think about building an organization and you think about building your sales team, to invest in building that organization. What does investing mean? It means if you need to put this on a credit card to get a top producer there, do it. If you need to go and borrow some money to get to this event, do it. You know, you got to continue. We've got to, as we grow through 2023, continue to ask ourselves, I'm going to stop the share here. How are we investing in our own personal growth, and whether it's going to Cabo, whether it's going to, for those of you who went to the Tahoe trip this last week, whether it's going to, you know, build events like this, or shareholders, or eXpCon in Vegas, or any other things that might be out there. I got a great email from Core Coaching, CORE. They're doing an event in Dallas in regards to building a referral-based network. These are all really mandatory things that you guys, you know, put on your calendar, because just like we're going to talk about today, your ability to grow, win in this market is predicated on one thing, and that's skilling up, leveling up, and learning new techniques and tactics. Now, going back to what we were chatting about in regards to what's happening with the market, it's still shifting. We're still seeing rates fluctuate. We're still seeing days on market increase, quadrupling or quintupling in quadrupling or quintupling in some areas. We're still seeing escrow fallouts. And you know, I just want to circle back around in regards to that fallout. What does that really mean? Well, he said we had 1.7% of homes nationwide. I'm gonna have to mute some of y'all back there, but we had 1.7% fallout nationwide. If we're talking about having 400,000 homes on the market, that means week over week, we saw 8,000 homes either be retracted, expire, or in some case, you know, go back on market, expire, or that were taken off the market. That's a fairly large amount of number versus what we've seen in previous weeks. So when you're out there talking about skilling up and leveling up and having different conversations, for those of you who have had listing appointments over these past couple of weeks, what we're still seeing is people are overpricing. People are still thinking that they're going to get this premium of where the market has lifted their house value. It's not there right now, you know, coupled with the increased inventory. So what does that mean? It means you need to show this data. You need to say, hey, listen, 8,000 homes went back on the market. Why? Because they were overpriced, because they were in the worst condition in the neighborhood, because they weren't in the best condition of the neighborhood. Show them the expired listings from the hot sheets, show them the back on markets, show them the number of price reductions, and then simply ask the question, you know, do you want to be one of these houses? Do you want to be one of these 8,000 houses that go back on the market? It's time for us to stop pussyfooting around and tiptoeing around, not being the professional. That's what I get out of this. You know, I see a lot of agents out there who spend a lot of time, effort, and energy in trying to obtain these listings. And God forbid, you know, we talk every week about growing your business and building this pipeline. But it also means that you've got to build your skill set to the point where you're influential enough to have that serious conversation with them. Because I'll tell you what, if you're not, you're going to cost them money. And you're thinking, I just want to get the listing. But I'll share with you one thing. If you put the house on the market at the wrong price right now and you're behind the market, you're going to cost them money. So you've got to be willing to say this. Is it okay? Ask for permission up front. Is it okay to have a really fierce conversation with you in regards to price? They're going to say yes. And then you have to sell them on the price and the condition and the commission, because somebody else is coming up with, somebody is going to come out behind you and tell them that their house is worth more than the market will really bear. And not to say I've been the victim of that, but I've been very upfront with people lately. And there's 2 listings that I've seen go on the market with other people. Guess what? They're still on the market. Guess what? They're still not at the price that I suggested. And
John, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Ultimately, let me finish this thought though. Ultimately, that's going to end up costing them money, and you got to have that fierce conversation with them. Okay, we want to be in a position where we're priced at a position where we're receiving multiple offers, not at the position where we're sitting on the market for 20, 30, 40 days, losing the inevitable equity as rates go up and as inventory goes up. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead, Rich.
So when I got back from Tahoe, I got to go to Reno. When I was in Reno, I got to sit down with 2 different agents, just close some deals with them as their client actually came down to Vacaville. Great discussion with them. In Reno, the tide is going out. Literally, they're like, we're so happy we worked with you. because we're watching houses go down and down and down. So when I got back to Roseville, I did some digging, and I would say that the information we just heard was a little bit lagging. It's a little behind. Anybody that's talking about 2019, shut them up. I don't care. Pre-pandemic, it doesn't matter. The bigger thing you should look at right now is how many houses are on the market compared to February. It's almost double. Let me say it again, it's almost double. And we're losing 25% of all the listings are dropping out. We know this, I know that. Yesterday I was in 25 homes. 3 different people told me the same thing. I can't afford to list my house and buy a new house. I'm staying where I am. 25 opportunities, 3 conversations, people telling me the same thing. They don't even know each other. So when we start talking about selling property, we have to tell people the truth and understand that not everybody's hearing what we have to say. Even the information we're getting right now is lagging. The bell has been rung. We are in a fight. Get your asses in gear. You have to communicate clearly.
Yeah, it's about the skill up, no doubt about it. Thanks for sharing, Rich. Also, you know, the idea that there's and you know, this forced selling mindset, and that we're going to see this, you know, huge, if you will, even though we are seeing inventory rise. It's very seasonal, guys. You know, go back and look at what was happening last year and look at the data. So there's not this predictive number that says we're going to have this influx of double the inventory hit the market. Again, what this means is after when you're summing this all up for either a buyer or a seller, it's that premium is gone. That ability, and that's what really sellers were hedging on 6-8 months ago was, hey, the market's going to do the heavy lifting. The market's going to get us the premium of whatever 5 or 10% more than the house is worth. And that's just not there anymore. So those are really, not to harp on it because we've got a lot of content to cover and we're a third of the way through this morning, but anybody have anything that they want to chime in and share before we move on to the content? You guys are usually so talkative. It's so weird not to hear anybody out there talking. So, okay, well, we're going to jump right into the content then. And here's the slide deck. We're going to open it up. Again, you know, I can't implore you more to do the research and get your people, if you're running a sales team or have people in your organization, to this build event for a couple days in August. Okay, so what we're gonna, these are the slides that we shared.
John,
Yes.
John, this is Alana.
Hello,
Hi.
Lana.
Before you get into it, hi. Hello, everybody. I bought a ticket for Build 2022, and I cannot go, and it's a general admission, and I have a hotel room booked. So if anybody wants to go for the general admission price, which is sold out, contact me. I can transfer the ticket.
Okay.
So, and I'll be able to help, you know, get you that room that I've already booked.
Perfect.
So, thanks. Bye. Sorry. Thanks.
Okay, Alana, what's the best number for somebody to get you?
I put it in the group chat, 916-718-8542.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so these were the slide decks that I shared on Friday. I spent a lot of time and effort and energy in coming up with this content, and basically what it has to do with is the thought of building your organization. For those of you who aren't there yet, those of you who are newer agents who are just thinking about you know, starting or launching your real estate career, I implore you to, number one, to think bigger, because this is the biggest opportunity, number one, anybody has ever shared with you. I'm going to say that again. This is the biggest opportunity anybody has shared with you. And if you're not taking advantage of it, it's because you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, it's because you haven't taken the time to dive in and become part of eXp on the real. I was talking with one of the team leaders here today, and they were saying, oh, well, there's not enough training and there's not enough coaching here. And I said, well, let me get this straight. We've had on Monday, we've had a class in person that's been awesome for those people who are attending every Monday. On Wednesday, we have this meeting every Wednesday. You know how many people actually show up from the larger organization to this meeting? it's less than 10%. And every day eXp has about 20 or 25 classes that you can go on and do at home, do on your car, do at the coffee shop. I don't care where it is. So the thought process that the training isn't here is a limiting belief. The reality of it is some people just aren't plugging in. I implore you, plug in. Let us help you. You know, like at the last day I said, you know, I am committed to helping all of you grow, but you have to be committed to showing up and skilling up. Okay. This conversation is about organizational growth. When we talk about how we're going to build a business, let's just say there's two topics of thought. And here's what we're going to hit today. Number one is the psychology of how business is built. This is what goes on in your mind. Building a business is about 90% mental and 10% organizational or infrastructure related. And then we're going to give you some tools in regards to what is called a third-party validation. And I think many of you will find this, hopefully some light bulbs go off and you find some new skills that you need to acquire and learn. So when we chat about how one builds a business, there are three stages. Number one is startup. And startup is fun and it's the easiest. And people are super excited in the startup phase. And what's the reality of it is 95% of people quit during startup. These are the people that continuously start over in life. And they go, I'm going to try this out. And then they fail, or I'm going to use the word, they hit a brick wall. And then they go on to something else. Why? Because their mind says, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to win at this. And they move on to another career path. They move on to another relationship. They move on to another organization or team. Once you get through this startup phase, which is only 5% of business owners, and in our reality, it's 5% of agents who actually get to a level of growth. And this is when things are happening and people are having some success and revenue is coming in and they're making progress and they're feeling good about breaking through that first level of startup. And then after that, they hit another wall. And they've got to make the decision to get into advanced growth. And the reality of it is only 1% of the 5% make it through advanced growth. What do you notice here about these numbers in relation to the real estate industry? Anybody? 5% of the business, or 95% of the business is done by 5% of the agents. Those agents have got into advanced growth. So that begs the question that you need to ask yourself this morning as we get into the definitions and the characteristics of each one of these stages is, where are you at? And what is the next, from a rhetorical standpoint, what is the next breakthrough that you need to have in your business to get to the next level? Somebody asked me yesterday, and Rich and I chatted about this really quickly, and I'm picking on Rich today because he's just right here in my face and next door. But somebody was saying, oh my God, I've got to work an 8-hour week. And I was like, what do you mean you have to work an 8-hour week? Like, isn't that what everybody does? Do you think just because you're a real estate agent, that affords you the availability not to have to put in a full work week? Because here's why. If you're not, you're never going to get past the first brick. And guess what? When you're in growth and you're not working 8 hours a week, you're never going to get to advanced growth. And if you're not working an 8-hour week when you're in advanced growth, you'll never sustain the continued growth. So the idea that we can be a part-time business owner until we hit the level past advanced growth, which brings us enough passive income to sustain our survivability. Yes, you goddamn right, you got to work an 8-hour week. It's never going to stop. When you get to growth, you don't just get to say, oh, I can relax for a little bit. That's the mental mindset I want you guys to adopt here, because I'm going to keep going. So here, this is what this looks like as an illustration. It says, man, I'm going to start my real estate business. For those of you who are in the organizational world, I'm going to start building an organization. And then what happens is we hit this brick wall. And why do we hit the brick wall? It could be a series of things, but most of the time it's because we're not leveling up. We're not skilling up. There's a mindset issue. People give up. Once we hit the growth stage, this 5% of agents, we have to acquire new skills to get to advanced growth. And then after advanced growth, either a couple of things happen. We continue to grow, we plateau, which is plateauing is really the death of your business, to be honest with you, because it's your plateau ability, your plateaued business will fluctuate based on what's happening at the market, or there's a decline, and then there's a restart up somewhere down the line. This is a very true cycle for the mentality, the psychology of how businesses are built. Okay, so let's get back to startup really quick. What does this look like? This is like, man, I'm going on this first date. This is going to be an exciting career in real estate. Something changes. For many of you, you go, I'm changing brokerages. A lot of you came from a different brokerage and you go, wow, this eXp thing, I'm really excited about it. This is what it looks like. At any point, to have a startup and to be excited about it, what it boils down to is there's some kind of opportunity that you're looking for, that gets you out of bed every day, that gets you excited about this opportunity. So we go through excitement, then we go into frantic, and this is like, what's next? What do I do? How do we do this? Where's my, how do I write a contract? And then that levels into anxiety. And the bottom line is, if you're not anxious, you're not in a startup phase. And quite honestly, if you're not anxious about your business, in some cases, it means you're probably plateaued. Okay, but being anxious is a key indicator of this startup phase. And then what happens after that is you hit this wall where you go, wow, is this the right decision? Do I really want this career? Do I want to work this hard? Am I this person? Am I on the right team? Am I at the right brokerage? Did I make the right choice? And those are the 4 components of startup. Many of you have probably witnessed these or had them happen in your life. And so what happens after this 4th area here, which is called the wall, is this is where 95% of the people quit. Once you mentally have questioned that decision, and you have 2 choices. Number one is this intellectual decision to invest the time, the resources, the money, and energy to upgrade your skills. And this could be over. Some of you may be in startup for years or months, just depending on how dedicated you are to breaking through this level of achievement, if you will, or ceiling of achievement. 5% self-select out, and the third choice is that you define and redefine yourself and your business. What that equates to, the decision to do that, and to both skill up and then to redefine yourself and your business, continues to the growth phase, really. But here's an example. Think about those people who have joined your team, who have joined eXp, your sales team, for those of you who are team leaders, who joined for the opportunity to build a business organization. Many of you did this. Many of you said, wow, I didn't have this opportunity at the previous business or at my previous brokerage. But then there's this question in your mind going, man, it's not happening enough. Man, I don't have the skills to do that. Well, guess what? That's your bad. You got to go skill up, level up, go to these meetings, go to these conferences, go to the lunch and learns. The second is it's not happening at a high enough level. I'm not able to bring in people at a high enough level, or it may be a client. If you're just starting in your real estate career, man, I'm not making enough money quick enough. I don't have a high enough level of clients. This is more work than anticipated. Guess what, guys? Everything is about challenge. Everything is about leveling up, and everything is about work. It's not just real estate. It's every job, especially if you're self-employed, right? And then what happens at that point is optimism rescinds. So this is where 95% drop out and the 5% win. So this win, where you say, well, I've done it, I've broken through, yields momentum and confidence, and what we call relaxed intensity and a positive mindset and upward trajectory, excuse me. Okay, and then now the startup phase is complete. Now what happens is what we call this gap in a road. You go, well, I've made it. I did my 20 transactions. I did my 25 transactions. I hit my goal for the business. And then what happens is this payback phase. And we decide we've made it. We need to pay ourselves back, and we buy that car or that house or take time off. and take the vacation and hire an assistant. And ultimately, this feels great because you're reaping the rewards of some of your success. But then what happens after the payback becomes another cycle of frustration and stress. Why? Why does that happen?
Because you plateau.
Okay, you plateau that, and let's just take that. You stop doing the things that were necessary to get you to the point of success. And people become cash drunk and lazy and complacent, and they're enjoying life. And before I hit number 6, if you look at the average real estate agent, when you mastermind, it's about $10 million in volume. $10 million equates to about $250,000 in income. That's when people start leveling off and the foot goes off, and mentally they're not thinking, man, how can I turn this 250,000 with the momentum and with the client base and with the current systems that we're using, et cetera, into 500,000. So in some form, the plateau, Chris, equals a decay, and the wheels start falling off and things start falling through the cracks, and you're less motivated, and you're just not showing up as the same person that you were in startup mode. Right? So then you've inevitably hit the second brick wall. We've gone through startup, we've gone through growth. Now we're hitting the second wall. This is now in larger skies and scales. Why? Because the questions are bigger. Why? Because you've gone out there and secured debt. You now have a house to pay for. You now have cars to pay for. You've got an assistant to pay for. The emotions are heavier. The toll is more dire. And people in our industry, I'll share with you, get stuck here for decades. And I would say, yes, we have a significant amount of 5% of the people who make it into growth mode. But that 1% is really the difference between the 5% and the 1% in our industry is huge. It's about $20 million worth of volume. Okay, that's $500,000 on top of what they're already making. So you start asking these questions. What's next for us? What, if you're at a recruiting appointment, let's just say, or an agent attraction appointment, what's next for you? What are you energized about? You've been a Coldwell Banker for 16 years. What's next? And they don't know. There's no energy. There's no emotion behind it. They're plateaued. And in reality, we know they're decaying. They're doing what they're doing ultimately. And somehow wherever they're at has become enough. And there's no dreams, and there's no drive, and there's no energy. And how much fun does that sound? Well, it sounds like about 80% of the real estate agents that I know, to be quite frank with you and honest with you. And many of you have been at several different brokerages, and you see these people ho-humming it every day. That's not the way to live your business life, especially because for many of us, me included, our life here is what gives us value. Our ability to connect with each other, our ability to connect with clients, our ability to win. Those are all tied into our work life. Not saying that we don't have wins on the outside of it, but the large majority of what we're here, I mean, we're here for 8 to 10 hours a day. That's almost half a day, which means half of our life is predicated on this stuff. So we better get into a position where we go, I love being on the game field. How does the athlete, Rich, you're a coach and you don't have to answer this, you don't have to answer this question, but how, if you're an NFL player and you're on the or a Major League Baseball player and you're on the field and you're ho-humming it, are you going to win? What energy do you bring to the field? How do you attract other people? How do you attract the right clients is what I'm getting at. And the reality of it is, if you're in ho-hum, you got to get out of it. Understand that where you're at in this cycle, where you're at in this brick wall, and skill up, level up, and do the things that we're chatting about here. However, what I'll say is, for those of you who want to build a larger business, and many of you may have come to eXp because you were stuck at this brick wall. Think about that. But this is where people are open and they're interested in doing some research and making a decision. And instead of, what if you were looking for people who are interested in eXp, or interested in joining your team, or interested in buying or selling? What if you were looking for people who are open, who are motivated, who are interested in growth and learning and changing? Those are the best people for your organization. And I'm happy to say many of the people on the call that are affiliated with all of us, are those people who are coachable, who are growing, who are changing. And so when we look at this, everybody who was at the event, please don't chime in. But when we look at this, what does it take to become a 10 in the ability to learn and the ability to change and grow and gain a new skill set? And the answer is, though many people may have answers, I know one of them was courage from somebody on this call, Rich. But really the answer is today making a decision that, yeah, I am going to be learning based. Yes, I'm open to change and coaching. And yes, I will grow. And I want something better than what I have now. And I don't want to be hum. And to do this, what you have to realize is you have to gain a new skill set. Many people in business don't gain new skill sets. Look at your CPA. Look at your attorney, look at your insurance guy, look at your lender, look at other real estate agents that you hang out with or that you know. Are they really skilling up or are they just riding the train? Most of them are just riding the train. Why? The average business or the average person after college reads one book a year. Say that again. The average person reads one book a year. They don't go to any training classes. There's no personal development that they're, classes that most people go to. So the idea that we stop learning at 22 after college is asinine. When you look at your business plan for 2023, a big portion of that better be on personal growth, whatever it is, overcoming objections or question-based selling or learning the disc profile or whatever that topic is, you got to skill up. So anyway, at the reality of this is people who are open in the second brick wall of growth, they're in this research mode. They're wanting change. They have identified that something needs to change. And then after growth, we hit this third brick wall, which is now called advanced growth. Again, 1% of the 5% make it here, but two things happen when you hit this third brick wall. The first is that you're looking for something. You're looking for possibilities. You're looking for energy. You're looking for a new adventure. Think about that. When's the last adventure you had? You're looking for it. This is when I came to eXp. I'm at KW for 14 years, done everything there. There's nothing new for me to do there. I'm ho-humming it, closing my transactions every year. And I'm looking for something new, an energy, a possibility, a solution to that. What we need to understand, though, is somebody does not go into advanced growth mode. If there's a decision now you know where you're at in each one of these walls, you will plateau. And this is a sign of decline, as we've talked about. And what we know about businesses that plateau is that they're going to trend negatively. Think about the retailer outside of this service industry that we're in. What would happen if we just had the iPhone 4 instead of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? Would we have that iPhone 4? No. Why? Somebody would introduce something else into the community they would go, well, there's a new energy to this phone. There's a new possibility with this. Let's work on this. This is why when you look at Apple, here's where I'm going with this. This is why when you look at Apple, they're already predicting the next iPhone and what doing the research on how to make it better, how to make it faster, how to make the battery do more things for us. This is the mindset of advanced growth. Again, understand where you're at in the cycle. But when you decide to go into advanced growth, it means that people start becoming attracted to you. You're confident. You're not pushy. You would say this, Nicolette, join eXp or don't join eXp. I'm happy for you, whatever you choose, because I'm confident in my decision. How many of us don't utilize that ability to have that confidence when we're out there trying to attract or bring people into eXp? And many of you are saying, well, why would I want to, I'm going to talk about this later about recruiting a little bit and the difference between recruiting and attraction and why it's really your duty to introduce this company to other people. But what happens when we hit this third brick wall is you have to understand there's 5 strategies to continue and break through it. Number 1 is identity. What does that mean? It means look into your past and understand who you are. It means there's a theme in your life. And there's a difference between reading a book and understanding the words in the chapters and how that book or that movie is unfolding. But, the theme is what's never talked about. The theme is what you mentally pick up on. What is your theme? Who are you? Are you a trainer? Are you somebody, are you a connector? Are you somebody who desires freedom? Understand who you are and tell that story, because that's what people will be most attracted to. Number two, relationships. The people that you surround yourself with will shape the next version of you. If you need to let some people go and level up some new relationships, it's time. That's your ability to grow. Number three, responsibility. Responsibility is leverage and accountability and coaching and the standards and expectations that you set for yourself. It's who you see you are and where you're striving to be. Skills is number four, and you have to understand, the skill set that it takes to close 10 transactions is much different than what it takes to close 25 transactions. And the skills that get you to 50 are much different than the 25. So you can't be if your goal is to get to 50 transactions, you can no longer be the person you were who was doing 10 transactions. It requires leadership and management and understanding some systems. And all the time people go to me, oh, I don't know about SEO, or I don't know about KV Core. Guess what? That's a skill set. It's nobody else's job to skill up your life. Okay? It's your job. Number five, purpose. This is what a lot of people call your what and your why, or your why. What, why do you do the things? What's your big why? But if you're not a thinker like that, my big why is my family or my legacy, or those types of things, and then you get very tactical about it and you go, what is my purpose? My purpose is to be continuously grow every year in the realm of leadership. I'm going to upskill my leadership. My purpose is to be a leader in the real estate community. Here's how I'm going to do it. Get very tactical about what your purpose is. Okay, those are the 5 strategies. So as we wrap up this portion of the conversation, how do you understand where you are and understand how you can use this mindset, understanding of the psychology of business, to overcome these walls and to continue to grow? It's your decision today to say, am I going to be the 5% that decide to break through these walls and to ascend to advanced growth? If so, own it. Put a plan together, hire a coach, come talk to me and say, here's my identity, here's the relationships, here's my accountability, here's the skill set that I'm going to do, and here's my purpose. And at this point, you understand either you're going to get through startup, and you're going to get through growth and advanced growth. And the reality of it is, going back and looking at the Shift book or reading the Shift book, Gary Keller says what? He says, those who live life on the right of average, meaning they are ready to skill up and level up and they're learning based and they're accountable, will live a much happier, eventful, purposeful life than those who don't. And decision B is this. We talked about, now I know some of you have other things that are going on, but some of you aren't putting these events in your calendar. You're not making it a priority. You're going, do I really need to go to that event? Do I have to be on this call? There's several people who aren't on this call today. Do I really need to be on this call? I'll catch it on Zoom. I've heard that before. Here's the thing: when you go and repeat and repeat and repeat, and you show up and you show up and you show up, one day, you go, fuck, I finally get it. The light bulb goes off. Several of the classes, when I was at KW, I used to not go to these events. What you'll find with top producers is they have this mindset. They have this plateaued mindset that says, I don't really need that training. I know everything there is to know. They're not leveling up their game. They're not advancing their skills. What you'll find, what will happen is on these calls one day, talking about the market, you go, boom, light bulb goes off. I'm going to start using that. That's the goal of showing up. So here's the invitation. Leave today knowing that your emotions are a gift. What does that mean, guys? Somebody share with me what that means. Your emotions are a gift.
Your emotions are telling you where you stand.
Thank
or
you.
What's wrong.
Michael, that's right. If you're feeling guilty right now, that's good. Embrace it. If you're feeling disappointed, that's good. Don't mask it. Because your body, your emotion, your mind is telling you, hey, there's something better for you. Hey, let's break through these chains. Hey, let's get to growth mode. Hey, let's get to advanced growth mode. Embrace the emotions because they highlight your journey. They make you who you are. And through those emotions, you hopefully decide to navigate towards advanced growth And, you know, this is your decision. Don't be part of the 95 that bag out because you're not willing to you know, to skill up and make those tough decisions. Okay, now we got 10 minutes left and a lot of information to talk about. So this leads us into the basic truth, which is the following. Who woke up this morning and said, man, I am a master recruiter? Or for those of you who are just selling who are selling real estate, not building an organization, man, I am a master listing agent. What we talk about is that, you know, maybe some of you who have heard this before, you go agent attraction. And what that really means is that that people like you enough, that they see you enough, that you're having as much fun out there. People are noticing what you're doing. And they say, wow, I want to be like Chris. And that's 1% of the people out there. So many of us are posting stuff about eXp and how great eXp is and this, that, and the other. That's great because you are driving attraction, but that's not, you're not at a level yet where people, you're such an influencer that people go, wow, I need to go and join eXp because of Xander. So the second level of that is recruiting. And here's the difference. Attraction is about you and attracting people into your business, and recruiting or prospecting, right? For people who are listing and attracting buyers, it's about the other person. And simply put, the definition of a recruiter is somebody who cares enough about another human being to sit down, have a conversation, find out what's working, what's not working, find out about their hopes and dreams, and position them as a resource to help them get it. How many of you are recruiters? Ask yourself this. How many of you are great attractors? The 1%. How many of you are great recruiters? This means if you want to build a large organization, you have to skill up in these two abilities, okay? So here's the basic truth. Many of you are out there going, well, I don't really like recruiting. And here's what you're saying, that either number one, you don't care enough about other people to get to know them and be a resource in their change, or number two, you simply don't have the skills. Understand it. It's okay. A lot of people are like this. So then you got to make the decision, like, am I going to skill up in these areas? Recruiting is an amazing word and an action that means you played a small role in somebody's life trajectory. This is Brent for me, right? Brent cared enough about me over a 16-month period to continuously make the calls and try and commit to the relationship and find out what was working for me, going back to those brick walls until in alignment. Here's Brent continuing to be a resource in my life. And here's Keller Williams, heading towards a brick wall of, man, what else is next? I'm kind of disappointed. I need some adventure in my life, until those 2 points meet. And then what happens? I go, wow, this looks like a great idea. This looks like a great opportunity. I'm going to join that company. So understand that this is a larger process. And if you maneuvered this to real estate sales, it's the same thing. Man, I'm going to be a resource for this client. I'm going to continuously to add value to them and to call them and to share with them how the market is changing. And at the same time, they're on this journey of, well, I'm not ready to sell. No, I'm not ready yet. It's not happening until that juncture hits. So be the big enough resource to be there and to follow up with them, while at the same time waiting for them to get to a point where they've hit a brick wall, where there needs to be some change in their life. So some of you are going, man, have I missed the boat? We just hit 83,000 agents. Guess what? We're going to hit 1 million in 10 years. So we're really what we would call the early adapter stage. But if you're asking these questions, what's my timing like? And have we lost the moment? Have I personally lost the momentum? And I can't bring over this top producing agent. Why not? For those of you who are thinking that right now, you have a limiting belief. You know why? Because Nicolette's a resource for you. Rich is a resource for you. I'm a resource for you. Brent Gove is a resource for you. And the people that are above Brent Gove that you don't even know, who are part of your organizational business partner network, they all want you to succeed because your success is in tandem with their success. So you may say, I missed out on this, or all the icons are here, or I missed the boat. And here's the reality of it is there's a thought process called the Rogers adoption curve. It's called an innovation curve. And it says that 2% of the world are innovators. They're the ones that are going to jump and think of ideas. And that 13.5% are early adapters. And hopefully this is where you are, because if you put a line here that says 0 and a line here that says 1 million, and we drew a line right down here, it would be at about 80,000, about 10%. Okay, be about 10%. So you have, I want to say 5 million real estate agents in the world, and only 80,000 of them are here. So I don't want to hear any limiting beliefs of, oh my God, all the good agents have come over. You have the biggest opportunity of any business owner, and that's really what you are. You got to think about yourself in that mindset that anybody's ever had in the real estate world. Okay. And thought process: when you compress time, energy, and effort, that equals massive action. So when we say, for those of you who are at the Monday class who didn't go and meet with 100 agents over those 60 days, you're not in there's no massive action there. For those of you who did, who went out there and built the relationships and expressed your energy and your effort in a short period of time, massive action. Massive action within a small window of time at a critical moment in time, which is what? A critical moment in time is a fissure in the market change. That's why I've been sharing with you, when you think about shift, don't think about it in a negative light. Think about it as an opportunity. This shift is your critical moment in time. You need to take the energy, take the effort, understand where the market is. You can create a business in a short window of time that would otherwise take somebody a decade, 2 decades, or a lifetime to create. I'm going to skip some slides here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do, because we're running short on time. I'm going to get to the point of a third-party validation, and then we're going to stop. Okay, so here's what you need to know about the competition versus eXp. Is any other company right now giving stock awards? The answer is no. Is anybody else giving you an internal revenue share referral for agents that you introduced to the company? Keller Williams is, but it's not off the top. It's called profit share. It's rung through the franchise. Is anybody else giving you the ability to have a CRM and a website for $85, and that costs you nothing to text out, automate emails, automate campaigns, market updates, search alerts, and client updates on a weekly basis? Not that I'm aware of. So this company has immediate leverage for you. And the mechanism here is this, is that if I'm on a bicycle, think about this as all the other companies, versus eXp in my Ferrari, and we both are on the starting line and we take off, we are going to scale a hell of a lot faster, because we can expand internationally right now with zero overhead and zero liability. Here's the idea behind this, guys, and this is what I shared in Tahoe. eXp is giving you a franchise. Do you guys know how much an average franchise makes? An average owner of a Taco Bell only makes $70,000. An average owner of a Subway only makes $70,000. So the ability for you here, Eileen's coming back. The ability of it looks like this. If I know I'm buying a Taco Bell, how much overhead is that? It's between building and between management and all those other things, there's about a $500,000 investment in that franchise. Guess what? Guess what the investment here is to build your own franchise? $145 to start up and $85 a month. Okay. Here's the deal. You go out, Chris, you go out and introduce 5 cappers. That's 14 grand every year, as long as they're at eXp. Those 5 get 5. You're at $80,000. So if you want to build your own franchise with zero overhead, zero liability internationally, wherever you want to go get 5 people who bring on 5 people. That's your number one goal. You do that with that time, energy, massive action, you'll have created your first franchise. And now you'll have this nest egg of $80,000 sitting there, regardless of what happens in your real estate related business, your sales business. Okay. And that's only the first 2 levels. So today, what you need to think of mentally is, I am pushing a franchise on you, whether you want it or not, because it's opportunity. And we know that you're going to hit that first level of or hit that, be the 95% that hit that first level of startup. And you may say, oh, well, this isn't working. Well, you guys got to skill up because this is more than feasible for you. Okay, let me see how many. Okay, we're almost there. This is the last slide for today. Here's what you need to understand. There's 4 ways that organizations are built. Number 1 is this attraction. Again, because of people who they are, the smallest percentage of eXp agents, then it's not scalable, it's not predictable, there's no systems, and it's dependent 100% upon you. And think about Brent Gove as being this person. Brent Gove is the 1% who, because they love you, because they're attracted, because they have this big personality, you go, yes, I want this. Okay, Brent, I'm going to join your organization. The second is this idea of recruiting skills. And it's coaching skills meshed with sales skills, time, effort, and energy. Meaning, hey, you gotta understand how to talk to people, how to find out what they need, and you gotta invest time, effort, and energy in them to get to that point where they trust like you, so that they'll come over. Those are effort, guys. Those are gonna be 2 things where you're gonna hit that brick wall. There's another way, which is down here, which is what many of us do, and it's send and chase. Here's the link to the world. Come check it out. Here's the model explained. Come check it out. Come to a lunch and learn. Come check it out. That doesn't work. You're sending and you're chasing. So what I'm going to introduce next week, as we're here, for those of you who are in running sales teams, for those of you who are new, and for those of you who want to build an organization, is what we call this, a third-party validation. And this is utilizing your business partners, not your upline, your business partners, to scale across your organizational growth, to scale across your sales growth, something that provides some replication, where you know what to say each time, and anyone can do it. And the goal is to level up, to serve to you on a charcuterie board, if you will, a set of skills and systems that replace attraction and recruiting. Here's what I want to finish this by saying. Third-party validation does not omit you from coaching up, from getting attractive to people, and it doesn't alleviate you from acquiring the coaching skills necessary to help people. But what it does do is it can get you immediately in the game. And really quickly, this is what it looks like. Utilizing your team, due diligence, your perspective in the company, coupled with the support and the commitment of your business partners to help train and provide skills to you to win in both sales and organization. Okay.
In the top right to continue.
Okay, so that's what I have today. Was that good? Okay, can you give me any ahas out there for some of you who are still on the call? I lost about half of you.
Yes. Hi, it's Alana.
Hey.
Hey, my aha is just being very real and honest. I don't feel that I have the skill set I need to learn the skill set to attract new people. I think that's my big takeaway from you today. I mean, in the last few minutes anyway, that I think I thought I had it, but honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing. I mean, yes, I'm a big personality and I'm friendly and all of that, but yeah, there's a lot more to it. So,
well, we're going to
All you need to do is prescribe.
Prescribe.
What does
prescribe.
that mean?
What?
That means when you meet with a recruiter, anybody you're interested, you listen to them first, you find their pain, and then you prescribe the remedy.
Ooh, I love it.
Yep. And that is, yes, she's right, 100%. And that's part of the third-party validation that we're going to talk about next week. So Alana, yes, the epiphany for a lot of people after this week was, I didn't realize, hey, I have 1% of people attract, which you see a bunch of eXp agents posting shit all over. And they think that that's going to get people to like, oh, I'm going to join. That's not the reality of it at all. Like Tess said, it's your ability to go find pain points. It's your ability to find needs and to solve problems and to be a resource for those people, just like it is at a listing appointment, quite honestly.
The weekend was amazing, but my greatest takeaway from the weekend, what you just talked about today, was we don't attract people to a platform. We attract to us personally. We are the brand. The other thing was recruitment then is not about attraction. Recruitment is about setting them up for success, their friends up for success, their business up for success, and their future up for success. So we attract to us, but we recruit for them.
Love it. Yeah.
Sean.
And we're not sending and chasing, third. And so this becomes a tool, a resource, a system that you can repetitively use to leverage. That's part of that growth phase, is being able to leverage and surround yourself with some new people. That's what we're here for. That's my job. My job is to work for you. Okay? My job is to work for you. You understand that? You need to put more people in front of me. Okay?
I was just going to ask you, I mean, you know, I think whoever's here might know I'm here because of you, Sean, and I want to leverage you, and I want to use you, and I want other people to know you. And how do I would love to have bullet points on who you are for people that don't have the opportunity, or, you know, that don't know you like I know you. I want to be able to be like, I am lucky enough to work with this man. Let me tell you about this man. And this is the man that influences me and my business. And that's why I'm here. And I would love to have just, you know, a little blurb, if you will, about yourself and how, I don't know, you don't, you know, you're very humble, and tell us how wonderful you are so we can go tell everyone how grateful we are to have you in our world.
100% agree, Nicolette.
All right. I've got my tasking.
So Sean, we're giving you homework.
For me.
Yeah, Sean.
It's going to be tough for me. That's
I
need to
know.
feel
I
up
want a
and
list, Sean.
break through that ceiling of achievement, I suppose. And
I mean, like the Top
Let's
Gun
get it
thing I
together.
learned. What the heck was that? He's Top Gun. Does anybody know he's Top Gun? I didn't know.
No, what is that, Nicolette?
See, Sean? Well, we'll have to.
we'll, you know what? Here's what I'll do. We'll put as part of next week's training. Okay. I'll do this. Here's what I'd like to do for all you guys who are on this call. Let's make next week's call the biggest call we've ever had.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Can
Yeah.
we invite?
Okay,
Can
you
we
guys-
invite other
You can
people
invite whoever you want.
that are not in eXp to come listen?
Please.
And let's meet Sean work. How about that? Can we do a let's meet Sean work Zoom call?
Please call your people, call guests, call other people that you know in eXp. Let's get them on the call. My commitment to you, Nicolette, is that as part of explaining third-party validation next week, we will get that bullet point list put together.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. Love you guys. Go
Love
rock
you.
the week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Sean.
Bye, guys.